I give a big shout out to the Norman family out in the gallery. Thank you for joining us tonight on this. It's a muggly August 11th gathering of the City of Lawrence Board of Parks and Recreation. Glad to have you on board here. It's hot, but we're going to get through it. It's summertime. We got fun stuff to talk about tonight. We have actually no actionable items, I don't think. But we have a lot of updates, guys. We got a whole lot of irons in the fire. Just give you stuff to chew on. And I'll go ahead and be honest with you. I've done this to you a lot this year. We might be needing a special board meeting on a couple of use agreements down the pike. So I'll just tell you that now. No surprises. With that said, thank you, Ms. D, for getting the minutes out in a timely fashion. If there are any additions, subtractions, corrections to the minute, please present them or forever hold your peace. If not, I would entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second? Second. All those in favor accepting the minutes as written?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Real quick here, like I said, we're going to flip-flop 3 and 4. Our big updates from Mr. Martin is where we at on the budget and the like. So, Mr. Martin, step on down.
We did have our first budget hearing with the mayor and the controller yesterday. Roughly, our budget has increased by about $200,000.
Wow.
Right at 1.8. They are looking at a 5% increase for all staff, which is certainly a good thing for us.
Yes, it is.
We did have a reduction in services, and in essence, which is our 200 account, which is Dean and I have to look at that and see.
I think that, in specific terms, what is that?
Well, it's our supply account where we buy materials, and so we might have to lean more on our non-reverting account for that. But that's something we'll discuss with Tyler and the controller a little more detail. But within the budget, they did allocate a debt and debt service charge to give us some additional funds for primarily the possibilities of the batting cage or the field house at Community Park that we are losing at Fall Creek, from Fall Creek softball and baseball, moving a new facility to Community Park to allow for that. Joe and I have been meeting with a couple contractors to get some pricing on that. So there's some funds in for that, and then also to get a jump start on Community Park and Lee Road Park playgrounds. Those are.
And that was going to be my question. Going forward, and for September, if that's too soon, it's too soon, but definitely October is no later. I'd like, what do we, if we got a little more money, we got some debt service out there, what projects do we have in the works that we can really push out there?
Well,
I don't want yet, just don't worry about it. I know we got batting cage, we got pickleball, but maybe in some detail, September, October-ish, just where we're headed. And
we'll have a better idea of how we're ending up this year. Because we still want to get Jen Park, or I'm sorry, Alexander Park this year.
Yeah.
It's the oldest in the playground world that we have. So we're hoping to have some money in reserve. There's a matching grant out now with game time equipment. They're a Source One company, so we can go directly to them. We don't have to bid any other companies. So we can do that directly with them. Real briefly, Community Safety Day is this Saturday from 10 to 2 at Station 40. So Lyra or 59th Street will be closed down, but come by and see the show wagon up, and the fire department and police department are having their annual
free hot dogs. Can't beat free
wing eating contest. So I think that's due at 11:30, I believe. We've had a rash of vandalism and other things at Community Park. I think we've We've probably all heard about the racing and car shows and things that were showing up at the park.
Any other issues with that in the past couple of weeks? I know Chief Hoffman was going
Not
to.
with that particular issue.
Right.
So we're having better communication with the police department. Dina's sending them weekly all of our reservation notices. And so they have an idea who's in the park, if it's a planned program or not.
And get a shout out to the chief. All you gotta do is tell him, and then he runs with it.
But along with that, we've had some vandalism issues at Community Park. Primarily, we had a break-in at the football fields Monday night. So we've got some added security there. Actually, soccer is paying for added security around the concession stand.
Now, cameras, alarm, doors.
We don't. These are all, the concession stand at soccer is not alarmed.
Okay.
And it seems they're ending the same way, and they're not taking anything. They're just getting in. So we're not sure who that is. So
We've chatted. It appears they may be sleeping overnight, because I know we've had some homeless issues back in the park.
they're not there when we get in the morning.
Okay. Didn't know.
So additional, again, soccer's paying for additional security to keep an eye on those things.
Okay.
Catch those individuals doing that. I want to give a shout out to the guys, the Parks Department
Yes.
and utilities and street that helped with the planning around the government center.
When they were out here doing it last week, I showed up and Ronnie gave me some, I went and got stuff for him to drink. It was hot, to say the least. That's an understatement. And Hennigan's group and utility, got you guys, they did a great job. And Eric Ditfree came in, the irrigation guys were out there working. I didn't know if they were still working.
I just talked to our landscaper today, just a little bit ago, and he thinks they'll have part of it on by Fridays because we're hand watering everything.
Mr. Martin's, he's
Coming up, pulling a
got little
hose around
boots on, little hat on, and he's out watering. I think it's good therapy for it.
Like Bill Murray or something.
Got that Forrest Gump touch.
But I just want to let you know that those guys
They
did.
did a great job.
I'm not sure if they're all going to go home and redecorate their
No.
own homes.
No, I think they're gonna dig it up and put rocks in it.
And then lastly, we've been keying on Lee Road Park, trying to get ready for the pickleball fields to go in. So we were out there 2 weeks ago doing some cleanup. We've got one dumpster full. We're waiting on another dumpster to get there. So we've just been hitting it when we can. And luckily, the grass hasn't grown much in the last couple of weeks, so we've been ahead of that. So other than that, again, once the budget's been provided to the council, I'll certainly get you a copy so you can take a look at it. But I want to make sure they get their copies first.
Any questions for Mr. Eric, Mr. Tom?
Does the budget include federal government money over and above what we would normally?
It does not. This is just the general budget. That particular fund, I think that's being issued through the Public Works Department, but I'm not sure how it's going to be funded yet.
Ms. Norman? Oh, sorry.
The field house, what are the plans for?
I'm gonna have that's one of ours on the agenda. I'm gonna have Eric and Joe kind of give us a presentation of where that's. I'm gonna tie that in when we bug Joe and Eric about pickleball, if you don't mind. I'm keeping you from your new bride, so might as well make it worth your while.
I had a quick
Ms.
one.
Norman?
Just a real quick observation at Lee Road Park. There were some picnic tables in the pavilion that were missing some wood or rotted out wood. You want me to just email those pictures?
Please do, yeah. Once we get everything cleaned up out there, we'll probably just pick those up, put them in the dumpster is what we'll do if they're
you,
not
man.
repairable. But
Okay.
yeah, just send me a
Yeah,
pic.
get rid of them.
Thanks.
All right. Well, some board comments. Monday night, we have a fun Fort Harrison Reuse Authority meeting coming up. There's some fun things in the works there. One other announcement coming up, 1st of October, we're planning, if you go by Brooks Boulevard there, with the PX, we're going to do unveiling of a monument to Ronald Brooks. General Brooks was the last commanding general out here at Fort Harrison. And I think it's, I'm on that committee, I should know. I think it's October 1st. I hope I got it right, but it's good. It's trying to recapture that military history out here. And, you know, General Brooks responsible for getting the PX out here, getting this building built, and ensuring that when Fort Harrison closed, there would be a smooth transition. A lot of other communities literally died on the vine when their military base went away. Our friends up there at Peru at Grissom have struggled mightily. So I just want to make sure you get attention to that. A couple things real quick. We do, and Eric's going to talk about, we have a use agreement with Cathedral High School. They've used the soccer complex for 30 years. There's some issues Eric's going to discuss here that might require a special meeting for approval on that one. I also want to get it out there. We may, in conjunction with that, have to step back and review our use agreement with LTFL football. I'm just going to leave it at that for now. There's significant issues dealing there, primarily numbers, and maybe a new direction that they will be going. And I'll have conversations with you folks once I have a conversation with the mayor and a couple of the other particulars. I just wanted to make you aware so you don't get surprised. Eric, a couple things. Have you discussed with FC Pride soccer folks about the fencing out there that looks like hell? I'll just be blunt.
Something to Mark about that, but I will, I would assume that would be a fall project.
Okay.
I will.
And I know the other one we've talked about, because we'll get an email, moving the Fall Creek baseball, softball sign to Community Park and have it reinstalled there.
When we go back out to the dumpster, we'll pull it.
Okay.
I think that's one of the last things.
Okay, just, we'll get email on it.
Scoring towers, if we make
Got it.
another vendor that might look at moving those for us.
Okay. I'm pretty good. I don't have anything. You guys have anything? All right. Well, then we'll move on down there. We've got old business. I don't have anybody from the Park Foundation update. Butterfly folks, any update? Anything? Come on down. Do not be bashful. Told you this meeting we get to do some fun stuff there, lady.
Hello.
How you doing?
Shall I state my name and address?
We know you.
Okay.
First, we met, Eric and I went out with Liz and Maria, and we went out to Veterans Park, and you get all these concepts, and until you physically go out, I'm going to high five you and your group. When you go out and see where they're visioning the initial butterfly, and when you see where it goes, and if you guys want to have Eric take you out there, or I'm sure Maria or Liz or her folks, it really makes sense. So I really wanted to tell you personally to your face that they brightened it up. So thank you.
Great. Thank you. I appreciate that. And I really don't have a lot of updates other than we keep ticking away each day. And we have done some presentations at some community events. We will be at the Safety Day along with the foundation, and we are creating our agreements and just working through it each day to keep getting toward that goal.
Now, you have 3 groups that you're considering using for the bigger, larger scale projects. Have you narrowed, where are we at with that?
Vendors?
Yes, vendors.
We have gotten quotes from 3 different vendors, and we will be working with those to decide which vendor we will go with.
Okay.
And the resolution was submitted to the council on
I'm ready to high five you on that.
last council meeting on August 2nd, and it was referred to the Park Committee, of which I'm a member of, and we have not set a date yet for that committee meeting. So We're just waiting to pull that together. Typically, it's just previous to the regular meeting of the council, but there happens to be a finance committee meeting at that time, so we're working with some of those details right now.
And you know, board members, feel free to email all council folks. The resolution is for the council, Lawrence Common Council, of the capital outlay fund to, in the sum of $15,000 to get the pump going for our butterfly. And we talked about this when we were out there at Veterans Park. I would like to see, and you could say no, don't want to go that route, since it is public money, this initial outlay, and the Parks Department will be doing the initial prep work for our first section of Butterfly Gardens, if that would be placed into the non-reverting fund for that initial work. I feel comfortable for the public dollars and public transparency, but after that, we would cheer on the Parks Foundation and you guys find any way to make a whole lot of money to get this project going.
Yeah.
Or not get it going, to keep it going into perpetuity.
Yes,
That's
and
the goal.
that's kind of how we set it up as Phase 1, the pilot project,
Right.
Phase 2, ongoing throughout all of Lawrence.
And the pilot project, just so it's on the record, is out there at Veterans Park, correct?
Well, it actually encompasses 4 different parks.
Okay, getting a grasp on it, okay.
Right. So anywhere between 5.5 to 7 acres total, and they're split up among the 4 different parks that we've looked at right now.
And the legwork of including, I hate the word stakeholders, but all the citizenry and businesses that are adjacent to the butterfly, I keep on the butterfly folks, but those people are going to be a part of the process, not apart from it. So I think that's very important, Ms. Norman.
So were those 4 parks, Lee Road, Reichart, Jen, and Veterans?
Correct.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure my notes were correct.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Mr.
So
Byrne?
once you get it going, what would be the ongoing cost?
Yeah.
Well, that is hard to determine at this point. We are collecting donations. We are working with the Park Foundation for a lot of social media outreach and all those sort of things. So we will probably base some of that projected budget upon how the pilot project goes. And of course, we'll probably be working with Director Martin in order to get some of the prep costs and so forth. And of course, when we ask folks or explain to folks, it's more about education of businesses, public lands, anywhere where we see there's an opportunity, then we will explain to them how you have the land at your disposal. Instead of mowing it, that costs you a lot of money, time. How about we just designate a particular area, and we can tell you how to do that, and we'll help
Native,
you.
Hoosier, native plants.
Native plants.
Go ahead, Tom.
Assuming you got the $15,000 to start with, what would be costs on beyond that? Would there be, you wouldn't need $15,000 a year.
No, this is set up to be self-perpetuating, self-sustaining financially and in every other way. So this is a one-time ask. That's not something that will come back. No.
Now, real quick, and Mr. Norman, you got to listen to this here because we're talking plants here. Like the Pheasants Forever area there, they're at Lee Road, correct? That's kind of the model it is. Eric, I'll use that as our model. That's the best one I can go to. What is a yearly maintenance to that, and what is the yearly maintenance cost to maintain that?
Well, actually, there are no maintenance costs to it. It should be probably fertilized annually. There are some herbicides we'll go in and treat. I noticed just today that I need to go out and do some direct spray on some
Right.
red bud and some other invasive. So there's some maintenance costs.
But it's not overwhelming.
No, and then generally they'll mow it once or twice a year depending on the growth pattern. But it's, as Maria said, they're projected to be
self-sustaining.
touched that one.
That's what I mean, they're and on a grander scale, when you have the wildfires, wherever they may occur, one of the first things that come back are those native species, because those, the earth's been cleaning itself that way for a billion years, so it's just the natural occurrence of this.
So would it be fair to say that it's after the first year you get going, there'd be pretty much a wash on the cost?
Yeah, it's certainly not going to be as intensive as mowing a turf and that. No, certainly there'll be some maintenance to it, yeah.
But if you you can take out a considerable amount of land that you have to worry about mowing, because it's naturally pretty, but yeah. Ms. Norman?
I think, is the goals of 15 acres total, is that correct?
That was our original anticipated acreage, but we've scaled back that total a bit after we walked some of the parks and did some of the measurements. And I'm not a landscape architect, so with the free software I had, I'm not precise on my dimensions, but we have a fairly good idea. And we also, the way our diagram is set up is so that we will have walkways throughout, and then also just an easy way to mow, a circular mow in the center based upon what makes sense at that particular area. So eventually, we hope to raise enough money to put benches, and we anticipate, and I'll be talking with Ms. Byron later about some of these other ideas, doing some art contests possibly that is sustainable in nature. I know a lot of artists because my husband is an artist, so I've been to a lot of art contests, and Grand Rapids, Michigan is an ideal basic example of some of the things we could do here. And so we want it to be around being sustainable artwork. So we're kind of anticipating a lot of things far down the line.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, ma'am.
And to let you know, it's not just the butterflies, all that's.
Right, yes.
The pollinators.
The pollinators have needed something fierce, yes. They've taken a hit the last decade.
Today to look at Lee Road, the finches were just
Losing their mind.
they were just flying everywhere. So there's a lot of other things that will benefit also.
Correct. Well, thank you, ma'am. Thank you. All right. I have 1A and 1B of my favorites. You have to be 1B, Miss Judith. You got an update? This is a fight woman, so she's been busy.
Busy. Hi, it's good to see you all. I'm sorry I wasn't here last month. First off, the musical swings have been open this is the 8th week, and we have had close to 8,000 people on those swings. So they are doing exactly what we put them in to do. Don't quite have the urgency that the swings had when they were here temporarily for 4 weeks, getting 20,000 people in 4 weeks, but there is pretty much somebody on the swings.
There is during the daylight, yeah. It'll be interesting if we get fallish weather, how that will be.
Yeah, we see people on the swings when it's raining. The times when we see the swings empty is usually in the highest of the heat. The project is moving along. We've had a few hiccups. We are coming to the table with our general contractor and some attorneys. Everyone is in agreement that we are going to work this out, but we have some basement flooding issues, some roof leaking issues, some
popular concrete issues.
We've got some major issues that we need to work through, and we are lucky to have great representation from the city attorney, from our construction attorney that we brought on before we even started the project. So we feel confident that we will work through these things, but we are. My goal was to finish this project by December of 2021, which would be a full 12 months, 1 year ahead of schedule. I'm now about 90% sure that we will have this project done a year ahead of schedule. But things are moving, progressing, and there are only a few projects left. They will be done without the general contractor. Eric has helped me with some vendors, so the amphitheater obviously is one of the things.
That was going to be my
that's finished.
question. Do you have
I have,
you got a construction firm to build the,
I have 4
oh, wow.
people bidding on it currently.
Good.
So I anticipate that,
That is exciting, because it's not the biggest job, because we always talk about, it's not a giant job, but you have 4, and the electrical issue, has it been addressed?
yes. Thank you, Eric, for calling Farrar out. It was a very simple fix. It was a battle of egos, I think, but yes, we have enough power at what we now call, because we don't have an amphitheater, but we are still offering outdoor concerts there. We call it the slab. So there is
like the
ample power at the slab. There's shade from the big umbrellas that we have out there temporarily. So that is progressing nicely as well. And then, of course, the things that are taking the most time is the Augmented Reality App, which can't be finished until all the components like the amphitheater and all are done so that they can take pictures of all of that. And then there is a backdrop to the amphitheater that we are hoping we will still have funds for once all the other pieces are finished. So.
Real quick, Eric, the kind of tag team, Mr. Norris came out, looked at the AV items for the Starrett Center. Quick update.
I think he's provide that information to Judy for.
Okay.
Yeah, so we have, so the delay in that is really knowing that there's going to be programming at the Starrett Center. That's part of the requirement from the Lilly Endowment, that these things go to public programming. So we're excited that Corey Korn is coming on staff at the city.
Yes, that's a big get, giant get.
We all, Jeff and Eric and Joe, myself, and some others from Arts for Lawrence, we meet monthly to talk about what our future partnership will look like. It's been hard to envision it until the campus was actually open, but I think we've got some great ideas about moving forward with programming together. The Starrett Center is getting new curtains, so the stage will actually have curtains that can open and close, a new sound system, a screen similar to that one that is, powered up and down, and projector in the ceiling. Everything else, I think there's going to be some mics and things that we've talked to the Parks Department that if those are being used by someone, that they are rented, so that the wear and tear on those equipment items are, you can kind of bring in money so that when they need to be replaced, you've got money to replace them. But Brian is moving forward on all of those things, so hopefully that is one of those last projects to be finished soon too.
Now, from the fun standpoint, Jay has done a great job. Event, since it's public, what do we have coming up this weekend?
This weekend, so on tomorrow evening, Thursday, we have a public concert by a group called Music in Bloom. They are actually performing new classical music in partnership with the Swings. So if you would like to be a part of the concert, you can come out and get on a swing and be a part of that public concert, which
And
is
it starts
local.
at 6:30?
Thank you. It starts at 6:30. Thank you. You know that more than I do. Friday is another Fridays at the Fort. I believe this weekend is the 38th Infantry Band, if I'm not mistaken, which is the past tenants of the theater, so we're excited to have them out. They also were the ones that provided the bugle calls for the marching walk, so if you've been lucky enough to come along the marching walk during those hours where the bugle call is triggered, those are all live performances, well, recorded performances of the 38th Infantry Band. Saturday, we will be at Safety Day with the rest of you. And Saturday evening is our very first Films at the Fort. We have free movies. Is that not this Saturday? It is this Saturday. Yes, thank you. I'm looking at you. I don't know. You seem to
do
know
my
our
homework.
programming better than I
There you
do.
go. You've got a few things on your mind.
Saturday is the very first Films at the Fort. This is a free movie. It is Grease. We have
Go wrong.
our own Rizzo impersonator coming to start off the movie. There are concessions, obviously, and participants are encouraged to wear their own costume. It is actually the sing-along version. So,
Oh, really?
yeah, so a lot of fun things happening at the cultural campus and at the
And you know what's really going to be fun? Having Corey Korn on, she will plan stuff for the city, and hopefully you get through the construction bumps in the road, you can immerse yourself in wearing the Starrett Center and the cultural campus out with events and fun stuff. And Corey's very good at that, and I think that's your forte also.
Yeah, I was just in a meeting half an hour ago with Corey, or make it, I guess, an hour ago now with Corey. So we are very excited to
Yes.
be teammates on this.
Oh, I was going to say,
we're going to get ourselves into some
it would
trouble.
be, this is not being mean, but it would have been an exhaustive meeting. You had been in the room with those two, and I even had a good
We're
one.
going to have some fun. We're going to have some fun. Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am.
Welcome.
Oh,
I got a question.
go ahead, I'm sorry, Tom.
Questions?
I know this is probably way far down your list with all the other things you got going on, but what's the deal with the cemetery?
Oh, thank you for asking. We really had high hopes to partner with them. I know there are a lot of community members that are interested in helping to clean up the cemetery. I am one of them. We have offered volunteers and finances to help with that. It is difficult working with the trustees. They don't want anyone on the property without them being there, and they are from northern Indiana. So we had really hoped to take down the chain link fence that, at least at the south edge of the cemetery, so that people at the cultural campus could walk into the cemetery and enjoy it. I mean,
It's historically significant. The first
truly
settlers
is.
of Lawrence are buried there.
It truly is. We also had a meeting with the DNR,
Historian or,
I don't know what her title is.
say archaeologist, but that isn't right.
Yeah, she's
I think
in the
it is
archaeology
yeah.
department. And they are willing to come out free of charge to give instruction on how to
Renovate it
renovate
and
the
make it
the
a
stones.
historically integral part of the state.
Yeah, give advice on weeding and plantings and the right way and the wrong way of doing that. And I still have high hopes. I know that the volunteers who have all come together to try to help are tired. We all have other
Right.
priorities, but this is definitely something that is still there. I know the VFW over here, they would like to donate an American flag at the property. There's definitely interest in helping to
Been
make that a
historic
great,
Societies expressed interest, and
Yeah.
it's just,
yeah. And it's just
Reef
somehow,
Authority.
I am being looked at as the leader of this, and I don't have the time to, but, maybe in the future, when the project is done, we can take a little harder tug at it.
approach to it. Put that on
We
our.
got to have the
events.
trustees on board.
Right.
That's the key.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Any other questions?
Well, thank you. All right, now for this portion of the show, Joe, Eric, come hither. We're down, got 3 items to kick around there real quick, and that would be our pickleball, our batting cage, and Eric update on Civic Plaza. And then we'll deal with the last Cathedral thing.
What do you want to start with?
One that we're furthest along, I would assume, which would be pickleball contract. Where we at? Go.
All right. Eric and I and a contingency from the city met with the folks from Charles C. Brandt about 2 weeks ago, discussed early timelines. I can say right now we're looking at called a ribbon cutting day, probably either last week in November, first week of December this year. So we do think it's going to get in this year. That being said, there's still some haggling over language in the contract. It's just the inclusion of a few additional statutes, making sure their insurance checks out with Caitlin, our city attorney. And so we don't have that prepared for you tonight to take action on, but I don't think there's any cause for concern. It's just a matter of making sure everything's
When do you
checked
see us
off.
turning some dirt over officially? Mid-September?
On their timeline, they had bore sampling the first week.
Okay,
Yeah.
They're ready to go with that as soon as we.
okay.
And on their part, to show that they're committed to this accelerated timeline, they've already begun even prior to getting contracts signed with some preliminary design and engineering plans, and so they've started the work of getting the thing designed and ready to go to permitting. And so, like I said, once we turn the project agreement over, it shouldn't be too long before dirt starts moving out there.
Is there a chance that in September, just for our consumption, the public's consumption, we could have, hate to use the word formal renderings, but as formal of a renderings of what this will look like upon completion as possible from whomever?
I spoke to the designer today.
Mm-hmm.
He called me, and he was going to send some preliminary things to me.
Okay.
I hadn't seen it today.
Got it, because I think that,
Get those, and, we've got input from the Indie Club,
yeah, Eric and guys met with the Indie Pickleball.
Pickleball Club.
Make that a follow on your Facebook. They are an active group, a very active group.
Yeah.
But, so a lot of the things that we discussed in that meeting, I'll provide to the
Okay.
architect once I see the renderings, and then if there's any modifications.
There is excitement that those are going in.
Yep.
I'll go ahead and tell you that now. It just is. So, next, Eric,
We haven't discussed the court colors.
Beautiful.
Preferred colors.
green is kind of, is that a preferred color? Red.
Purple. Maroon.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Never made the connection.
Well, Central.
Yeah.
Yeah. Civic Plaza, the contract you have, I kind of perused it. So where are we at in the process of moving dirt for Civic Plaza?
So that's out to bid
And that, are they due back 17th?
as
Is
we
that
speak, the 18th.
18th?
18th. So they've been out for a little over a week now.
Okay.
And they'll be due next week. I don't think I've heard from Shri, our city engineer, that we've had any bids received yet, but I would hope that we receive some in the next couple
Got
days. On the project agreement side, the city and FHR are working together right now to kind of go, we just got the first draft back, so we'll
Right.
probably have a
We
couple
want-
go-arounds to make
Just
sure
say,
that
I
thing-
know Aletha alluded she'd like to have it actionable for Monday's meeting, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay,
We'll have further discussions internally with the city to make sure that's
got it.
representing this group's interest as well as the FHRA's.
Real quick, last, because we talked about it earlier, is the batting cage that's currently out at Lee Road. And I know you've been working hard on that, Joanne, Eric, getting some costs and the like. What's a timeline? Where go? Give us a bit of an update.
Yeah, so I mean, as you guys know, we've been in the process of moving the Fall Creek Baseball and Softball League over to Community Park for almost a year now. And the biggest piece that we want to provide them at that new facility is essentially replicate or improve upon the existing batting facility they have at Lee Road Park at Community Park. And so we've been meeting with contractors to that extent to get pricing, materials kind of nailed down, location, and
For you, that's the big building that's in that southeast corner of Lee Road.
yeah, I'm sorry. And to clarify, when we do, if we do construct a new facility at Community Park, we would gain control of the existing facility at Lee Road Park for our own purposes through the city. So it's not as if that's going to go away. We're just giving them a new facility at their new base of operation, essentially, would be.
This is it's a bone of contention with folks, and I talked to several of their travel league coaches out here. This is me speaking for me, not the board, but I said, we will not move that batting cage out of there until a comparable one is ready to be used. I know there's another department of the city that would like to get in there now, but I reached out. They called me 4 or 5 different coaches in the summer. I go, the goal is, and I go, I make no promises to you, but the goal is not to get rid of their batting cage until one comparable. It's a big deal. It's, that's what keeps that league of 300-400 kids going. That's one of the perks they get. Definitely in the winter time is they keep getting to play baseball, and it keeps that interest up. So,
And so we're working to that end to get prices locked down and understand that. But what we have seen from both contractors that we've spoken with to date is that lead times on materials, as I'm sure you've all heard anecdotally, are extensive. And we're probably not talking about construction over there until
March
of next year, with completion probably not till end of April, early May at the earliest.
That's because
Which is why we're on it as we speak, because that's how long lead times are.
Amazon and Walmart got a corner in a lot of the steel that's being used out there.
So what kind of condition is the field house, or whatever you want to call it out there? What kind of condition is that in?
It's usable.
It's
a
so it's
pole barn, yeah.
it's a
Are
pole
we
barn.
planning on using it for something?
We're planning
Yeah.
on using it for cold storage for
Yeah.
equipment,
Oh,
city equipment.
Yeah, we've got an overflow of items at Community Park in the back of the facility over by our existing garage that are outdoors that probably need to be indoor storage. Primarily some of the winter stuff for our Winterfest
And
and
the other one's the show wagon.
the show wagon as well, which we want to make sure we protect that significant investment, yeah. So yeah, the current facility's got AstroTurf down. Like I said, it's just a shell barn. It's, I think it's, 90 by 50 feet
Right.
dimension, and it's 12-foot ceilings. And other than that, it's outfitted for batting cages, pitching mounds, baseball facility, essentially. So we're looking to replicate that and maybe improve on some of the materials that get used in there and give them a nicer a facility that'll last them the next 20, 30 years. Similar to
where would that new facility go?
the location we've talked about at Community Park is right in between the existing community center and then the playground out there. There's a
The old
concrete
basketball.
where there used to be a basketball facility. The hope would be that we could save on some costs by using the existing concrete that's there, and it's pretty solid, and we think it's probably okay to build on top of. So that's the primary area we're looking at in the park. And it just so happens that that concrete pad is 50 by 100 feet, so it was convenient.
All right, anything else? Thank you, Joseph.
Yep.
All right, see you bright and early in the morning.
Absolutely.
right.
Thank you all.
Yeah. Real quick, last thing on the agenda there, I kind of alluded to it earlier, Cathedral High School soccer agreement. From this and not going into details, but the goal is, it's not the goal, is that they will pay a fee to use the facility this year. They've never paid a fee to play out there 25 plus years. I always go at the low end. The city does provide the field, the mowing, the parking, the trash collection, the utilities. FC Pride, who purchased the striper from the city, will stripe the field. There's a bone contingency the Cathedral has about paying. Where I'll just leave it at that. But the bigger issue we're dealing with is, of course, that the old scoring tower. Every time we put windows in, the windows miraculously don't survive, and that's kind of where we're at. We do plan on that. Just keep your calendars open. Hopefully, we'll have some sort of positive action to move on that.
And will there be something in the contract about them charging admission?
That one of the things that is in there that the issue is nothing. Well, it wasn't enforced. I'll let you guys decide. If they are allowed to charge admission, if we give approval that they can charge admission, and also part of it is if they are to host non-cathedral competition, it's like a third party. The city tournament, or definitely if Cathedral's tagged to host an IHSA sectional or regional, that's a total separate agreement that will be made between the city and the organization, which are the City Coaches Association or the IHSAA.
Have they used that for summer programs? I mean,
They did not this year. We made it quite clear that they have in the past. We made it quite clear that there was to be no activity out there without a formal use agreement, and that it would be incur a cost to use it. Okay. Anything else? Anything from the gallery? Comments, questions? All right. I say we're adjourned. Enjoy the hot weather.